Welcome back to another edition of The Right Call. I am your co-host, Mark Altman, here with my other co-host. What's your name again?
My name, do I want to disclose such information?
I think you do.
My name is Cole Altman.
So, Cole, we've done a lot of right calls over the last year and a half. And sometimes I've been disgruntled on the right call. Sometimes I've been in a good mood on the right call. I am universally disgruntled today. And I just want to start out, Cole, talking about, we have plenty to talk about in Boston sports, but I need to start out with the Celtics. And I want everybody to know we almost didn't do this episode of The Right Call because I was going to attend Deuce Tatum's 5-year-old birthday party.
Oh.
So I was going to cancel The Right Call so I could
Jason
attend.
Tatum did?
Right, exactly.
Oh, right.
So, Cole, first of all, I just want to say something. I am so irritated with the Celtics and Jason Tatum right now. And the media reported yesterday that he took a personal day off to not play in the Orlando game this past Sunday after the Celtics got outworked, out-hustled, and embarrassed on Friday night against Orlando. And by the way, an Orlando team that has now won 6 in a row and has a great young nucleus. And not to take anything away from Orlando, they're playing good basketball. But a Celtic team that got their doors blown off by Golden State, their doors blown off by the Clippers, got outscored 41-9 in a second-half run by the Lakers and barely pulled that out by the skin of their teeth, and then came home and lost 2 games to Orlando. It's the Celtics team is not playing well right now. And for Jason Tatum to take that day off when he could have had the birthday party Saturday, it was just bad optics, bad timing. And I got to tell you, Cole, before I get your feedback on this, my biggest frustration, and you've heard me say this 100 times, the Celtics are so easily satisfied. I am so tired of hearing Marcus Smart come out and say, we need to work harder. Malcolm Brogdon calls out the team. How many years of inconsistent, unmotivated play do we need to see the Celtics so they don't keep going through these stretches?
I'm usually a big defender for the Celtics, and today I actually agree with you. I think that what they've shown the past 4 games against very skilled teams has shown us that they might be a little fraudulent, because when they were on this win streak, now they're 22-9. Now that they're on this win streak, that they played against softer teams. Now that they're going against real competition, they're showing their weak side, and that's what we've seen in previous years, and what brought them down earlier last year, and so I don't like the direction this team's going, and it's a big problem.
Yeah, and listen, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand for the back half of that road trip, they didn't have Al Horford. They obviously didn't have Robert Williams. Robert Williams just came back, and to say he looked rusty would be the understatement of the century. But again, I understand they were playing shorthanded, and if you look at the entire breadth of work while Robert Williams was out, pretty good, right? Like, I mean, I think anybody would say they overachieved. But it's not the point. It's work ethic. It's commitment. It's, after that big win against the Lakers, staving off that comeback and doing a comeback of their own and just reading their own press clippings and being happy. And, no matter what happens with the Celtics, we are in an NBA league right now. And Cole, your generation and even the generation above yours, people love stats. People love highlights. And listen, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, man, they put up stats. I mean, there's no question. They put up a lot of stats. But like you just said, you've got the Milwaukee Buck game coming up on Christmas Day. That is going to be a huge measuring stick. But again, like the Golden State and the Clippers were to me, and the reason why I put the Clippers in such high esteem as a measuring stick is because of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, how well they match up with the Celtics.
Top 2 star defenders in the league. I mean, and then you have Kawhi Leonard, who easily matches up with Jason Tatum, and then Paul George and Jaylen Brown are near identical players when it comes to body size and play type. So I'm really thinking that the Clippers are the real deal, and that really showed a dark side to the both young stars.
And by the way, one final point on the Celtics. You look back at a few years ago when Brad Stevens coached this team. I was the first one that would come on this podcast and rail against Brad Stevens as a coach because he couldn't motivate the players and he was too soft. And then Ime Udoka comes in, who did a pretty good job motivating those guys and pulling them together.
Did a fantastic job.
Right? Creating a cohesive team. And now you've got Joe Mazzulla, who really over the last couple of weeks has showed his inexperience as a coach. He doesn't know how to call timeouts. He's not making adjustments. Is it his youth and experience? I'm sure that's a part of it. But here we go again now. We're taking a step backwards. So, man, and listen, if you're listening to this and saying that we're too hard because NBA teams have slumps over the course of the season, of course they have slumps over the course of the season. That's not the issue. The issue is consistency in effort, consistency in showing up for big games against good teams.
It's not like they're losing these games by 2-3
Yeah, they're
points.
not even competitive. That's a good point.
They're getting absolutely destroyed, and especially by inferior teams. Like the Lakers are not a better team than the Celtics, and they still got outscored 41-9 at one point. So I think that what you just said speaks volumes to how much trouble the Celtics could be in.
So, Cole, let's transition to another nightmare that is the New England Patriots. And you and I watched the end of that game in utter disbelief when that played out. And we've seen a lot of people in the news today talk about different angles and this, that, and the other thing. I want to bring up an angle that I haven't heard anybody bring up in the last 24 hours. When you look at Bill Belichick's tenure for the Patriots, there's two things that Bill Belichick's teams up until a few years ago have always been known for and have always led the NFL in. One is preparedness. We just watched the Hard Knocks Arizona, right? All the coaches are saying, it's game planning. The Patriots always have the best game planning. So preparedness. And number two, situational football, execution. And I can't tell you, this year, Cole, in the last 20, 25 years watching the Patriots, I have seen worse situational awareness and situational football collectively through, 14 games now, 7-7?
Yep.
Through 14 games this season, I've seen as many poor executed situational plays this season than I think collectively. Even last year with Cam Newton, Cam Newton sucked, but I don't know that there was a lot of lack of situational awareness or discipline on the team. This year, there is no situational awareness, and everybody wants to talk about Mac Jones and Matt Patricia. This team is one of the most poorly coached teams in the NFL, period. Forget the offense.
Well, I think the big problem is that Bill Belichick's still coaching like Tom Brady's on the team. He's still treating Mac Jones like he is Tom Brady, and that's not how you're going to win. You need to adjust to the players you currently have on your team. You don't have the Julian Edelman anymore. You don't have the Rob Gronkowski anymore. So you need to find a way to adapt to Mac Jones. They're not doing their job, and it's time for Belichick to go.
It's funny you say that. I think that's a piece of it. But I was talking to a customer the other day who had former Patriot Chris Hogan in as a motivational speaker. And he was talking about how Chris Hogan was going on and on about how Bill Belichick is all about accountability, calling himself out in the locker room, calling Tom Brady, calling everybody out. Everybody's on a level playing field. Well, you can do that when you're winning.
Yeah.
You can hold all those people accountable, and people will drink the Kool-Aid when they're winning. But the Patriots team, especially offensively, has lost complete confidence in the coaching staff. And I mean, this week, Jacoby Myers, who my heart bleeds for that guy. I mean, this is the most reliable player. He and Ramondre Stevenson have been the two most reliable players offensively on the team. Jacoby Myers clearly, situationally forgot the score, didn't understand what was going on. He came out and said, well, he thought Mac Jones was open, but as you and I discussed, that doesn't matter. You don't make that play anyway in a tie game.
There could have been no one in a 20-yard vicinity. Anything can happen. You don't make that play. It's just stupid.
Exactly. We saw the game against, it was either the Jets or Arizona, special teams blunders left and right. That never happens with the Patriots. Punt blocked. And that's been happening throughout the season. Poor special teams. On defense, I will say this for the Patriots. I think that is going to be the one silver lining that comes out of this year is Josh Uche has emerged as an awesome pass rusher. Obviously, Matthew Judon's great. But even the secondary, we were talking about it yesterday. Kyle Duggar made that great play. You've got the Jones brothers, not brothers, but Jack, Marcus, Jonathan. I mean, you've got some real building block pieces on defense for the future. That's going to be the one silver lining for this season. But again, it's not about Matt Patricia. It's not about Mac Jones. This team doesn't execute, isn't prepared to win. I mean, they fell behind 17-3 at half. They're not scoring in the red zone. That's situational football. Right?
Yes, it is. And what they need to do, they need to find a weapon. Jacoby Myers isn't a weapon. You need to get a Devontae Adams. You need to get a top receiver. You got to get someone that can be reliable. You can throw to 15 times a game. He can make those plays downfield. You need one of those guys. And you're not in today's NFL, I want you to find me one team that doesn't have an elite weapon that competes for a Super Bowl.
Wait. Are you trying to say that you don't think when the teams are playing the Patriots, like this coming week with the Bengals, you don't think the Bengals are staying up late at night worried about how to defend Nelson Aguilar? Stonehands Aguilar?
You
don't think they're doing that?
You're right. I'm sorry. That was insulting.
Kendrick Bourne?
But I want you to look at the top 4 teams in the league. Cowboys, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs.
Listen, I saw on social media, you and I talked about this. I saw on social media this week, someone said, if you were starting a team today, what roster would you take, the Lions or the Patriots?
It's the Lions. It's not even close.
It's not even close. The Lions have Aiden Hutchinson's going to be one of the best top 3 or 4 players in football on defense. And they got Jeff Okudah, but on offense, they've got a load of I think the Lions' worst weapon on offense may be as good as the Patriots' best weapon on offense.
Like, they have Jameson Williams as your number 2 receiver going into next year. Jameson Williams is a freak talent.
And even when you look at teams like the Jets, right? The Jets who really, if the Jets ever get a quarterback that really knows how to play, the Jets have a ton of building blocks on both sides of the ball. Breece Hall, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons. I mean, you just look at teams in the NFL, and the Patriots, bad coaching, bad situational football, bad preparedness, no offensive weapons. And by the way, one last thing on the Patriots, Cole. If I hear one more person suggest Tom Brady is going to come back to this team, I'm going to lose my marbles. Like, what are people talking about? Do people realize that the reason Tom Brady left this team is because he looked at the garbage offensive weapons he had to throw to and was like, yeah, so he has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. He's got Julio Jones. By the way, Julio Jones would probably be the best receiver on the Patriots right now.
Julio Jones would be a beast on the Patriots.
Right? So Tom Brady's, let me get this straight. He's going to come back to a team that has poor coaching, no direction, still no offensive weapons, and play in the cold instead of sunny Florida. That's the choice he's going to make?
Yeah.
Garbage.
Well, here's the thing. If they can finally find a way to get an offensive weapon, a legit offensive weapon, I wouldn't call it out of the box.
Do you have any confidence in that based on what you've seen track record? They don't even get Tyquan Thornton involved.
Do I have any confidence in it? No. Do I have a little bit of hope that they'll fire Belichick? Yeah, I do.
I mean, just in that, and like Belichick, just, you said it earlier. You were onto something. It's not so much Belichick thinks he treats Mac Jones like Tom Brady or thinks he still has Tom Brady. It's more that Belichick isn't adapting his style, his coaching to the personnel. He's bringing in yes men like Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. That's paranoia. Coaches who do that are paranoid. Bill Belichick's the last coach that should be bringing in guys like Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And now you read that, Bill O'Brien's going to leave Alabama and wants to come back. Yeah, that would be good. But again, why is Bill Belichick even doing that in the first place is the question.
He's trying to bring everyone back together, and it's not going to do any good.
All right, let's go back. Let's go to our final Boston disaster, the Red Sox.
Nicole, do we have to?
No. I just want to talk about 2 things on the Red Sox that have been on my mind. First of all, let's address the Xander Bogaerts situation. Again, I have a different take on this than I think a lot of people have. Do I think Xander Bogaerts was a tremendous Red Sox? Yes. Do I think that Xander Bogaerts earned his money while he was on the Red Sox? Absolutely, and then some. Do I think you pay a player for what they've done in the past? and not what they've done. Bill Belichick has taught us that in the last 20 years. You don't pay for past performance, you pay for future performance. Now, that's not to say he hasn't made mistakes, like Chandler Jones, for example. But my point is, Xander Bogaerts is not worth $280 million in an 11-year contract. He isn't worth that.
So, well, the problem I have with that is that Xander Bogaerts is 30 years old. A shortstop's terminal lifespan is around 35 to 36 years old. He's going to be 41 with that contract. You almost never, ever see a shortstop that's still playing at a solid, even elite level at above 36, 37 years old. And the other problem is that he's just not worth $280 million. It's not who he is.
Not to mention, his power numbers have declined. He had not a good power year, although some people are arguing that may be because of the pressure of the free agency. Who knows? But his power numbers declined. His defense has definitely declined. And if you look at the contract Dansby Swanson just signed with the Cubs, it was 7 years, 175 versus 11 years, 280. You're telling me when we look at the next, I just want to look at the next 7 years comparing Dansby Swanson and Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts is that much better than Dansby Swanson over the next 7 years? No way. There's not a big difference between those two guys at all.
I don't know, but because the biggest thing with Xander Bogaerts is that he's an incredible average hitter. He bat .335.
That's true.
He bat .335,
that is true.
.340 for most of the year last year. He was tremendous last year on getting on base any way he could. And so I think you're selling Xander Bogaerts a little short. He's definitely a Red Sox Hall of Famer. He's probably an MLB Hall of Famer.
No. Red Sox Hall of Famer, yes, but not MLB Hall of Famer.
I don't know about that. I would like to throw the challenge flag and check the stat book. But
listen,
I think you're selling Xander Bogaerts
as long as it's not the Keelan Cole challenge flag.
Honestly, he was so out of bounds.
Okay, listen. No, it turns out today he wasn't. They've had close-up views today to show that he actually wasn't. So listen, here's the thing. Even if we slightly disagree on Xander Bogaerts' value, that's fine. The reality is the Red Sox are not even close to a World Series. They have no pitching. They don't have a number 1 starter. They don't have a number 2 starter. Chris Sale is dead. He'll pitch 3 games and get hurt again. He's terrible. So to me, if the Red Sox...
They have Nady?
Who?
Evaldi.
No, they don't. He's a free agent. No one signed him. No. They don't even have him.
See, all of the viewers watching the show can see how much I really care.
No, but so just to finish my point.
Horrible team.
So how are the Red Sox going to reinvest the money? They are a big market club, and they're acting like the Tampa Bay Rays. And again, like everybody wants to rail on Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia and Mac Jones. To me, it's not just Chaim Bloom's the problem. It's Red Sox ownership is the problem. Is Chaim Bloom given permission to spend more money and go over the luxury tax consistently, and he's choosing not to? Is Chaim Bloom just sitting there going, wait, you're telling me I can spend all this money and I'm not going to spend the money? Is he sitting there saying that? Or is Red Sox ownership drawing a line in the sand, drinking the Chaim Bloom Kool-Aid, who's Chaim Bloom, he's made a few good trades, but he's not even a good talent evaluator, as we've seen.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know what he's doing. So the problem is they're not even close to a World Series. Xander Bogaerts is not the issue. The issue is they have no pitching. They don't have a talent evaluator. They have ownership who has lost complete sight of what matters. And here's the icing on the cake, Cole. I don't even know if I told you this. Here's the icing. This is my final thing on the Red Sox. I heard Sam Kennedy interview the other day, and he was being questioned about the Red Sox, lack of moves or spending. And this is what he said, quote unquote, I will not forget this anytime soon. He goes, I don't know what people are so upset about. We will be fielding a competitive team in the AL East. Fielding a competitive team? Is that the standard now in Boston? Geez, I thought we wanted a team that could win the World Series. Hell, I'd take a team that could even get out of the American League East.
Yeah.
Fielding a competitive team? What are we, the Royals?
Well, see.
That's embarrassing.
I want to give a shout out to my Auntie Jamie.
What is Auntie Jamie doing on our podcast?
We were discussing the Red Sox. Huge Red Sox fan. And we were discussing Chaim Bloom. And I want to state a quote she made and I 100% agree with her. She said, Chaim Bloom, when they were handing out the brains, he hid behind the door.
It's a great line.
Great line. Chaim Bloom, I agree with you that it has some things to do with the Red Sox management, but I'm willing to put most of the blame on Chaim Bloom. He does not know what he's doing.
I think, and the one other thing that's gone under the radar, people are always like, well, the Red Sox aren't going to re-sign Devers, and they're letting everybody go. Guess what, everybody? Even if they throw the money at Devers, if you're Devers and you're looking at who else you're playing with right now, even if he gets the money for the Red Sox, I'm not sure it's an automatic he resigns with the Red Sox.
If I'm Rafael Devers, what I'm thinking is, ooh, look how much money I can get somewhere else where I can actually compete. Get me to the Padres, get me to the Dodgers, get me somewhere that can win a World Series, and that's where I'd go.
Yeah, and final thought, before we finish with one positive note, which is the Boston Bruins. Final thought is, Cole, do you think the Red Sox and Patriots, do you think Bill Belichick gets on the phone with Chaim Bloom, and this is the conversation they have? Do you think they're competing to have the most boring team in their respective sport? I said this all during baseball season last year. Rafael Devers is the only interesting player on the Red Sox. Who else?
Alex Verdugo.
Right. Rafael Devers is the only interesting player. And on the Patriots, do they have one interesting offensive player? I mean, I guess Ramondre Stevenson, but that's pushing it. Like, as a running back, like a decent running back, a great...
Decent?
He's very good. I like him.
He's tremendous.
Listen, Patriots and Red Sox are the most boring teams in their respective sport. They have nobody to get excited about. There's no high-level talent. It's a disgrace. It's awful.
Alex Verdugo.
All right, final thought, Boston Bruins. We have to end on a positive note, Cole. So the Boston Bruins continue to by far have the best record in hockey. Going into our recording tonight, 24-4-2. Absolutely dominating. And just real quick, Cole, we're really a third. No, we're more than a third of the way into the season. We're about almost 40% into the way into the season. If the playoffs started today, are the Bruins the favorite to win the Stanley Cup?
Probably, and here's why. The Boston Bruins have shown their camaraderie, their family-like environment. And
Chemistry.
It's
unbelievable.
Nothing compares to it. You finally have David Krejci back. You seem to have the band back together. And I don't see...
You just wanted to use that phrase, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
I don't really see a team that outplays the Bruins right now. Like, you don't see the Bruins getting their doors blown off by any good teams like the Celtics. They're beating Colorado. They're beating Vegas. They're beating the good teams. They aren't losing, and they are the Stanley Cup favorites in my mind.
Yeah, and final thought for me is if you've been living in a cave, the Bruins starting goalie Linus Ullmark, 17-1-1, 1.83 goals against, 941 save percentage.
It's aight.
And you know what? In hockey, you win with goaltending.
You do.
And the Bruins have the top defensive player, arguably the top defensive pair in hockey with McAvoy and Lindholm. So things are looking up for the Bruins. The Celtics, Celtics go the way Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown go. And otherwise, Cole, any final thoughts on the right call?
I don't think so. I hope things turn around for the Boston Celtics. I really do. I don't know what to say. They've really shown their weaknesses the last few weeks, and praying to God that they turn it around.
Yeah, and congratulations to whoever won the World Cup. I think it was Argentina beat France. Is that what happened?
I thought it was Zambia.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was Zambia.
The Z team?
So if you actually care about the World Cup, congratulations. But all right, so for Cole Altman, I'm Mark Altman. We'll see you next time.